Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. It's been a while since we've had the latest chapter of Twittering Birds Never Fly. I had almost given up hope that there would be an English translation of chapter 47. I had almost given up hope. I had almost resigned myself to the fact that I'd just wait until chapter 48 was translated and just do two chapters at once. Some of you suggested it, but then other people were like, chapter 47's out with the English translation. And I was like, I can't. I can't wait. It feels like an eternity waiting like every 2 to 3 months for a new chapter. And so I can't. We're technically still at volume 8, so there's that. But yeah. Oh, Doumeki and Yashiro, you two. I feel like Doumeki, the whole Dark Meki turn, I don't really like calling him Dark Meki, but I like that Doumeki he's gained so much agency and so much like command of the situation. And it's interesting because this entire series, Yashiro's been the power bottom. He's been the one that's been like in control and using his power over others through sex. And now Doumeki's like, I've changed in the last 4 years. It's like, so the idea of the tables turning and Yashiro holding himself back for Doumeki. Oh, and it's just interesting. And I'm like, come on, Yashiro, honey. You don't want to admit that you're in love. You won't say you're in love, but it's like, come on. It's, Doumeki, I always felt like Yashiro has been holding himself back because he doesn't want Doumeki to become part of the Yakuza world. It's a little late for that now. Domeki's all in, right? So it's just, Yoneda Kou sensei, what are we doing? What I love about this series is that Yoneda Kou, she knew what she was doing. She hooked us in from the beginning and was like, here, you dumpster fire children, here is your smut. Now you're invested in these characters and I'm going to make them suffer and you have to suffer along with them. And it's like, why? So yeah, the last chapter was so tense, it wasn't long enough. We had that beautiful chapter 45 was like 100 pages and then chapter 46 was like 20. And this chapter is 39. So, but that also includes the bonus, like, fun translations, I'm assuming. So, I don't know. I want to thank these patrons here for sending me links to the chapters because y'all are amazing. I'm so glad y'all look out for the English subs for me, and I'm really happy with it. But yeah, I was gonna wait, but I need some twittering birds in my life. I really do. So. Oh, let's find out what's going on in this chapter, shall we? We won't waste any more time, but we're going to start in chapter 47 of Twittering Birds Never Fly. It's still in volume 8. Let's see what happens here in 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh, are you joking? That chapter was too quick. That chapter was far too quick. Oh my god. What? My dog is like scratching the carpet. Why? Oh my god. Why are these chapters so fast? I hate it. Man, so Sugimoto and them, damn. Sugimoto, everybody. So everybody's getting the glow ups in this. So I like that he followed Yashiro back to... Yashiro said he was fine alone, but he followed him back and saw Doumeki. And I like that his reasoning was he didn't go after to help Yashiro because he's like, well, Doumeki's much better than Inami. Inami's the worst. I hate Inami. He's just such a slime bag. And God, this chapter is so good. Like getting into Yashiro's head. And Doumeki... Now here's the thing. They say Doumeki has a woman. No. I think Doumeki is going to this woman to learn things. Because Yashiro was complaining, like, way back when Yashiro and him first had sex, he was like, well, and when he first gave him, like, a blowjob and stuff, he's like, well, you're not that good, but, go to, like, a whorehouse or something and learn how to do it right. And he was halfway joking, and Doumeki's like, yes, I will. And Yashiro's like, but now we find this woman, the proprietress, and I think that he's going to her. I don't think she's his woman. If he's really dead, because he told Yashiro to not sleep with anybody else but him. And I'm like, if you tell him that, I don't think Doumeki's the type of person that would tell Yashiro that and then go behind Yashiro's back to sleep with a woman. I think he has a deal with this woman and she's teaching him how to do things. But it's really funny because she gives him this like soft, warm, endearing look, and he kind of like he's almost smiling, but it's like just barely, like he's almost smiling at her, but it's kind of indifferent. But yeah, I think she's teaching him things. I think she's like, oh, you want to learn how to please people? Let me show you. And they're kind of going under the guise of her being his woman, right? I don't know. I feel like that's the case. And then we have the tables turning. Yashiro's the one who's impotent now. My, how the tables have turned. He can't, it's not the same. And I love the apple metaphor. I love it. That he can't get it up anymore. And Inami's room, like just looking at Inami's room is just disgusting. There's food and beer cans and cigarettes everywhere. And it's just this nasty bed and the clothes everywhere. It's disgusting. And he's just got Yashiro like pinned up. And then all these different things, Yashiro going through his head after the bastard got a taste of me at the hotel 4 years ago, after he was raped while he was alone. Since then, I've become like this, a body that can't live without men, despite having been raped by them. This time, it became a body that can't feel anything despite it. So it's like, at first, he's like, against all odds, he wanted the sex because it was a way of him to take something that had been so horrible to him and give him power. Like he had taken the idea that he'd been assaulted and raped, and he's like, no, I'm going to use sex as a weapon for myself, and I'm going to make it give me power. And he had used it. Despite it, he had felt like his body couldn't live without it. But then, after Doumeki, he's like, now I can't feel anything despite. He's like, I've created this cycle where I want sex, but now I'm not feeling anything from it. There's no power attached to it like there was before. It just leaves him feeling empty. And he says the results were the same. Is there anything more funny than this ridiculous situation? And he's calling it poetic justice. And I hate that like his mouth and everything is bloody, and he's like, don't do anything to my face. I hate it. And then we see him, like we see Yashiro from the past, and we see him like tied up and everything. He's like, I really didn't care anymore. I was so beyond redemption. And I thought I was only fine when I felt pain. Like he felt like he was just such an awful person that he didn't deserve anything but just pain. And that was the only way he'd be normal. And I like how in the sex scenes with Inami, if you compare it to with Doumeki, it's the most beautiful, intimate, soft, emotional thing because Doumeki loves him. But then with Inami, there's nothing glorified about this sex scene. It's disgusting and dirty and just awful. Like it's not given any type of positivity whatsoever. But then I love it's a shot of Doumeki with the scar across his face. Like, in part that I do feel like Yashiro feels he's partially responsible for Doumeki being involved in the Yakuza and getting involved in this world. But at the same time, it's like Doumeki stayed there because he wanted to be with Yashiro. And I love that he sees him and there's like the light shining behind him and it's just, he's like smiling towards them almost. And it's that idea. He's like, somehow I realized there's no need to get rid of anything if I didn't know it in the first place. And I love it. It's the apple with the bite out of it. It's such a representation of he just got a taste of Doumeki, a taste of what life could be like, what sex could be like with someone that genuinely cared for you, that wasn't just using you or abusing you, that it was a genuine love. And he's like, no, he's like that temptation. He's like, I had a taste of something pure and wholesome and good. And he's like, and I don't deserve it. Yashiro's like, I don't deserve any of it. And he's like, there's no need. And then he's like, there's no need for me to get rid of Doumeki if I don't know him. If I just shun Doumeki and get him out of my life, then I won't have to get rid of him. And he won't have to get rid of me. And I feel like Yashiro thinks he's not good enough for Doumeki, that he doesn't deserve Doumeki. And so he's like, let me just get him out of my life and then I won't have to worry about him. It'll be fine. It'll be okay. I'm like, ugh. So yeah, it's the representation of, the apple and the black versus white. And it's the black apple with the white bite underneath. Like, oh my God. And then, Yashiro is just... And I like that afterwards they talk about getting information about the different Yakuza groups and everything. And then he's dropping him off. And I like that. I love the idea that Yashiro's like, the guardrails keep coming after the car. Like, he's that bad of a driver, right? And so then Inami brings up the idea that, wait, we've talked about the Sakura group and you're trying to get intel on them. Isn't Doumeki with them? And Yashiro's like, what? Who knows? And Nami's not dumb. He's like, quit the play acting. And he's like, I couldn't care less, really. And then I like that Inami says, seeing Doumeki, another decent guy who's not yourself, fall from grace, you must be delighted. And he's like, decent? He's like, hey, that guy thinks I'm passing on information to you, huh? And so, like, Yashiro's like, because Inami tries to throw it in Yashiro's face, saying it's your fault that Doumeki is, like, involved in the Yakuza now. He's fallen from this pure pedestal of goodness into the Yakuza group. And Yashiro's like, hey, he thinks that we're having sex so that I can give you information, not the other way around. And Inami's like, Yashiro says, in other words, he thinks that I'm the one wanting to have sex with you. And Inami's like, but you want to, don't you? And he's like, I couldn't care less about your motives. And that's when Inami says, I couldn't care less about your motives, but you're the type who wants to be treated violently. And Inami's like, you want this just as much as I do, right? And that's not the case, right? And then he's like, and then there's you who can only get off with that type. You're pretty fucked up too. And he's like, don't lump me up with you. So Yashiro's like, we're both messed up people, but I would argue that Nami is way more messed up than Yashiro. And he's like, you've got it worse. And then I like that Nami says, hey, you need to stop laughing. Your guard dog is coming with a scary expression. Walking up with them black gloves, dressed in all black, our Doumeki. And he hates Inami. Doumeki hates him. And Yashiro's like, he's no longer my guard dog. And he's like, what now? I only know Nanahara-san's number. And so I love that Doumeki, Yashiro's like, what now? What do you want? And Doumeki's like, I only have Nanahara's number, not yours. So that's why I came back. And I like that he looks at Inami and he's like, fuck off. Just Doumeki looking at him and just saying that, and Nami putting in the cigarette being like, some nasty mouth you got, as he drives away. God, Doumeki. And he leaves the two of them there, and he's like, what were you doing? And I like that Yashiro's like, what indeed? And he says, I asked you to make do with me for now. And Yashiro's like, well, I didn't agree to those terms, so here we are. And I like that Yashiro's like, Doumeki says, come with me. Because, Doumeki's like, fair enough, you did not consent to that. You didn't tell me that, so... Oh my God. Chapter 48 came out March 31st, a few weeks ago. The English translation cannot come soon enough. I'm just saying. Ah! Oh my God. I'm just like, Doumeki, honey. So Doumeki does not know that Yashiro's impotent. Doesn't know. And that would also explain why... God. So is Yashiro going to tell him? Is Yashiro going to be like, look... Or is Doumeki going to try something? And since Yashiro is like... Because Yashiro does not think he deserves... He feels guilty for what he's done to Doumeki. He doesn't think he deserves Doumeki's love. So he's going to try to avoid it. So I'm wondering if he tries to do something with Doumeki and he's impotent, if Domeki's going to be like... And Yashiro has to be like, look, I haven't been able to get it up with anybody, so there's that I'm dealing with right now. And, oh my God. So that's the twist. All this time, Yashiro had a taste of an actual love, and now it's ruined him. And he's just going to be able to, Doumeki's the only one he's going to be able to be with. Oh my God. This chapter was very much a transitional chapter. I can see why some people probably wanted me to wait and read it with chapters 48, but you all know that. I've been waiting like 4 months. I can't do that. So, man, volume 8 of Twittering Birds, what a time. What a time. I need Yashiro and Doumeki to have a conversation. I need Yashiro to tell Doumeki about how he feels, all those things. But I don't know if we're going to get that or not. I'm really curious to know your thoughts down below about this chapter. It was not long enough. I tell y'all, it was not long enough. But in another month, we'll have chapter 48. So see what happens, right? But God, this chapter is really good. So I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction. But in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'll be back, in about a month or two with chapter 48. And hopefully we'll see how Doumeki and Yashiro, where this goes from here. The subordinates are letting them all go. So they're grown adults. They can handle it. I do want to comment, though, that it seems like the subordinates that work for each of them, they're like, Doumeki's kind of scary. You sure Yashiro's okay with him? And Nanaharu's like, yeah, he's fine. What's the worst that could happen, right? I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'll be back really soon with more Twittering Birds Never Fly. Bye.